Hello everyone, I'm Sherry. This is Lessons Learnt, and you're watching an episode of Finish It Friday. This is where I show you what I finished this week and also share what some of you have finished. So it's kind of a quilt show. So stay to the end so you can see all the beautiful quilts that I'm going to show today. First of all, I usually talk about what I've done this week. So let's get that out of the way. First of all, the Wednesday video, we're working on the Jolly Bar quilt, row quilt. This is row 5. This is the final row. And in that video, I also assigned those who are participating to cut your sashing, your horizontal sashing between rows and get that all put together. So we're going to see some completely finished quilt tops here pretty soon from that sew along. The next thing that I worked on was actually this was before the Wednesday video because I did that on Monday. Maybe I did do this on Monday. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I put this on the long arm and I wanted to show you this. You may remember this from a video, a stash busting video that I produced a while back. I think it was last September. It could have been this July, but I believe it was last September. So it was just also a row quilt, but made from fabric strips instead of blocks. So it was a real easy, quick project to be able to use up some of your yardage that's just languishing in your stashes. And then I also put this Luxe Minky, this is called Luxe Pony. I guess that's kind of like what a pony hide looks like. So it's very luxurious. It's not very big, but it would make a very nice little, you know, sitting on the couch type of throw that you could use. I love this. I love how it turned out. And it has sort of you could probably see from the Minky what the pattern is that I put on. I put a really big wavy circular thing on there. Kind of was going after a wind theme. You know, the Southwest, windy prairies, plains and mountains, all that stuff. So got that little quilt done. And then the other thing that I got done, sorry about that. The other thing I got done is hanging outside, and I have a little video clip of that. And yes, I will put the clip in this time, unlike last week when I just left you hanging there, didn't I? Twice. So here is the quilt that I did, the other quilt that I did on the long arm this week. Alright, long arm project number 2. This is the modern crayon quilt, just a pattern I made up. Anybody could figure out how to make one of these, but I do have a video on it if you so need to look at it to be able to make one. But I just used some fat quarters that I had laying around and didn't know what to do with. 2 different sets, blacks, whites, and grays, and then all of these pretty colors that pop was another little fat quarter bundle. So put the 2 together and came out with a quilt. And this is 60, I think it was 67 by 84, something like that. Nice size. And let's see, let's get a little closer and I'll show you the quilt pattern on it. It's stars and swirls, and that came in the pattern library of the Pro Stitcher Lite automation program. So it stitched out really nice. Didn't have any troubles with this pattern at all. And then I went ahead and bound it with the backing fabric that I used, and I'll show you that. Sorry for the jerkiness. Hold on just a second. There it is. I think I may have showed you this on Monday that I had received this. So I just went ahead and put that on because it was perfect for it. And it worked out great for the binding as well. It's not a very pretty day. It's definitely a cold fall day. I don't know what the temperature is. It's probably somewhere around the 50s, I would think. And no sunshine whatsoever. Do you want to see how there's no sunshine whatsoever? Nothing. Alright, so there's the second one that I did. And we'll carry on with the quilt show. Okay, so that one turned out nice and straight, and it was just a very square, you know, no variation. Everything just came out just perfect with the size of it and the corners and all of that. It's just a perfect little quilt, and that also has a video pattern. I don't have a written pattern for that, but I do have a video on that modern crayon quilt. I think I'm going to call it modern crayon box quilt because of all those squares in there. Anyway, whenever I decide to label it, I will call it that. And then obviously we have the top done for Pat Sloan's Block Wednesday Ode to Our National Parks. And I decided to put in here this print on these two. And then instead of just using the plain cream, because it matches so well, and then it has that little bit of print in it, and I thought that looked good. I had the fabric, I might as well use it and save my solid for something else. So anyway, all the blocks are done. I've got the blue. I decided on the blue inner border, and I'm not crazy about the little cornerstones that I picked. I should have stuck with these, I believe, but it's okay. I've kind of fussy cut. It's this particular print, but it has the goldish, this color background to it. So I was kind of fussy cutting those. It didn't work out like I dreamed. It just doesn't, you know, pop out. But maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I made wider borders, and I matched the prints up on the borders. So that took a long time to do, one day. One of these, I think this one is in 1, 2, 3. It's in 4 pieces to be able to get that pattern correct across through there. And then of course I cut them long ways for the long sides, so that was easy to do. But then again at the bottom I had to piece again, and I didn't get the exact same area, but it is all pieced across and matching. So I had forgotten how long that takes. It takes a while to get that all lined up and correct, and find the exact space you need to sew in to make it, when you open it up and from the front side, the pattern is matching. But it can be done. It can be done. So I did that. So what I'm thinking is I may just from right here, right now, just take this into the house and long arm it. I have a backing. I have fabric left for the binding, and I think I am going to use this color for the binding, just to kind of pull it all together. So you will see this again next week as a long arm finish. But you see what's going to start happening here, don't you? Once I get all of my backlog of quilt tops quilted, when I finish a quilt, it's going in the house and getting long armed. And the final thing you will see of it is a long armed bound quilt. So see, I could have put this outside and showed you that whole thing and folded it up and put it in the cabinet to be long armed at whatever time, who knows. But I'm going to take it right in there and do that soon, like today. Today or this weekend somehow. So that's what I worked on. I worked a little bit more on my room. I moved the dress form out, and I got rid of some boxes and a few odds and ends like that. So I'm still working. I will do a tour, I promise, when I get it the way I want it. So very soon, very soon. All right, let's get into your finishes for this week. We had some good stuff. The first one that we have is by Karen. And this is a wall hanging, and isn't that cute? That is a schnauzer, is it not? Let's see what she says. She says, "Hi Sherry, I made this wall hanging in memory of my sweet dog Bailey. She passed away in 2023, and I had 14 wonderful years with her. I wanted to do something to honor her, and then my quilt guild came up with a challenge contest of favorite animal. As long as the red fabric was included somewhere in the quilt, so I'm entering the contest this month." So the red fabric was a common fabric everyone was using. That's a neat little challenge. She says, "I was able to find this schnauzer pattern online. It's made by a company called Selena Quilts." That's Selena. "She makes paper pieced patterns of various dog breeds and some cats. I changed some of the fabric colors to represent my dog's coloring. I am so glad I did this. It was challenging but also therapeutic." Yes, this is foundation paper piecing, and even with the foundation paper piecing, you can get the little furry chin there. That's just adorable. I'm gonna have to go in there and see if I can find a cockapoo face. Very nice. And then the next one is from Cheryl, and she says, "This is another UFO completed and hung up. This little wall hanging was made from scraps and strips that were left over from other quilts. There are still several more to go, but I'm on a roll getting them done. Thanks for all the encouraging videos." Yes, very, very cute. And these are those Kansas Troubles types of fabrics and prints. Makes for a nice wall hanging. Nice neutral wall hanging. And then we also have one from Lorena, and she has two finishes. One is the red and white quilt for my dear mother-in-law, and she said that took her quite a few months to complete and many pieces, but it was sure worth it. The fabric was from a clearance kit from Connecting Threads. Although I didn't like the pattern from the kit, there was a lot of nice fabric for the price. This was a free pattern called Canyon Birds by Jennifer Brindley. Why, yes, if you get a kit and you decide you don't like the pattern, that doesn't mean that the fabric is useless. You can use it for something else. Very cute. I love the color combination of the forest green and the peaches. The other one is a baby quilt made from leftover pieces from a jelly roll. This is a free pattern by Moda called Quadrangle, and she made it less blocks so that she could get the baby size that she wanted it to be. And both of these she free motion quilted on her long arm. So yes, that is very cute. I think I read those in reverse. The colors that I was referring to was for the baby quilt, which I do love. But the red and white quilt, yes, that is a very nice quilt. That is like an heirloom type quilt, you may say. So great job on both of these. You're moving right along and getting your quilts finished. So that's good news. Good news. Here's another one. Here's one by Susan. Now I have two Susans this week. The first Susan here, she says she's working on getting her tops quilted and finished, and she has many that were pieced by her mother or sister years ago, and they don't want to finish them. And she says, "Here's a simple jelly roll quilt I finished last week with flannel on the back and a scrappy binding. I quilted it on the long arm with an organic wave. I love how the flannel makes it soft and cozy after I put it through the washer and dryer. This will be put aside in case we have another granddaughter. Thanks again for your channel. I always look forward to watching." Thank you, Susan. This will make a nice, cute kid quilt when you hopefully get that next granddaughter. That was a quick one to finish up quickly. Yes. Very nice. This one is from Lori. She has a table runner here. She says, I've been working on this winter season table runner since the beginning of September and finally finished it. It's all hand-pieced and quilted, so it did take a couple months, sewing as much as time and life allowed. Quilting inside each square and rectangle took longer than my original quilting plan of crosshatch, but I love the results. I will be giving the table runner away, which is a bit difficult to do now that I see how lovely it is. Yes. The pattern is by Chris O'Neill from Sew the Distance using Woodland Winter Fabric by Moda. Thanks for the Finish It Friday segments. I love to see what other quilters do too. And I'm going to show the up close there. I might get all three of these pictures on. I'm not sure. We'll try. But if you look at her quilting there that she did on the inside of all of those squares, and this winter woodland is just precious with the deer and the cardinals and the snowbirds. Very, very pretty. Our other Susan has a finish. She says, simple but pretty. The pattern is called Farmhouse Blues by Villa Rosa. It finishes at 60 by 75. Yes, that's a very quick finish, isn't it? And you know, you got a little bit of asymmetrical going on there with the white on the right side and no white on the left side. So that's a little bit unusual. Very modern-ish, I'll say. I love the blues. Love, love the blues. Okay, Deborah has two finishes here. She says the black and gray quilt is a free pattern on Bear Creek Quilts around page 5, All Natural by Wendy Shepherd. The jelly roll is Silverstone. The pantograph is Halo. Very pretty. And there's a lesson to be learned on this as I was looking at it. See how she has the dark pink, the really deep pink border around it, and how you might not think that would be a color that would go with this fabric selection, but do you see how that color pulls out those squares of that color in that line? Very clever, very clever. Looks nice. The other one is, let's see, did I do that one backwards too? You know, I do read these ahead of time. But by the time I get in front of the camera, it's like everything just flies out of my head. That one was called Goodnight Irene from a Missouri Star tutorial, also known as Arkansas Crossroad, and it was made with a layer cake called Fisherman's Blend. I liked it so much I bought it again on the recent sale at Fat Quarter Shop. The pantograph is S-curve. She says, my friend decided to start this quilt, so I had to follow along and make my own. I didn't follow Jenny Doan's method to make the 16 patch squares and found it easier to just cut into 2.5-inch strips. Next time I make this pattern, I will use a jelly roll. So, okay, I think I was right. You just didn't say a whole lot about the gray and white one, the black and gray one, and the white. That was Wendy Shepherd's. So you said that's from Bear Creek Quilts, page 5 of Wendy Shepherd's book, All Natural, and the jelly roll is Silverstone. The pantograph is Halo. So there you go. I hope that made sense. I'm not redoing this whole video just to make that look better. All right, Danae has a finish. She says, and this is our last one. She actually has two. She says, I recently attended a 5-day quilt retreat, and here are a couple of finishes. The bow tie quilt was a request, so I sewed all the blocks while at the retreat, and I finished it when I got home. Very good. And I have not seen the bow ties situated like that before in slanted rows, and then that way you get a half a hexagon going vertical. Interesting. And it's scrappy. Gotta love scrappy. Now the other one that's a little bit brighter in tone, when I read this earlier, I thought that those were the bow ties, because if you look at the little black diamond, I was seeing that as the knot of the bow tie, and then each side of the bow tie was a strip block. So once I kept reading the description, I became aware that No, this is not the bow tie one. The bow tie one is the bow tie one. So what is this one? The strip quilt was started on the last evening of the retreat and finished the next morning before packing up to come home. That was still a lot to get done. Did you sleep? She says, I did sandwich, quilt, and bind when I came home also, this one. I had a great time, met some new sewists, and saw some old friends. Sherry, thank you for all you do. This is a very scrappy, modern quilt too, how you did this. I like it. Very good. All right, I think that's all I managed to mess up today. No, it's okay. You guys know what I mean, right? When I read some of these things and put the pictures up, hopefully it all makes sense. All right, those are some great finishes. Thank you for sending those in. Continue to send your finishes in so that you can share what you've made, your creativity, with the rest of the world. We're all anxious to see. So keep sewing this weekend. Times are getting busy, getting down to the wire on this year of 2024. And we still have lots to do. So let's get in there and get busy because time is running out. All right, this weekend, like I said, I'm going to put this on the long arm, and then later on in the week, I'll do another one. And there will be at least one more Wednesday video of the Jolly Bar book quilt. And then we'll be back around here on Friday again. It just goes by so fast, but it's so much fun, isn't it? All right, I hope that you can get your sewing in this week and move on with some other newer things later on. All right, have a great one, and I will see you next week. Bye.